All right. Okay. Let me get started. So, guys, this is going to be an introductory call where I'm going to just give a demo on how the classes or how I've structured the course and a just short demo about how I'm going to introduce you the course. Okay. So with that, right, without wasting much of the time, let's get into the session. I'm sharing my screen. So let me know if you guys are able to see the screen.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So as all of you guys are already working professionals, right, in one on the other domain, one in database, one in DevOps, and another one, right, in the Exchange servers. So before I'll just show you a video, and I wanted to ask you how about how that about the video, right? So I'll just play you a video. So let me know if you guys are able to see. Yeah. So I just brought up the video of Arogya Setu app, right? So usually during COVID, what was happening? I think early March or something we had lockdown, and the contact tracing was not we were not able to contact trace in an efficient way. So that's where, right, we were relying completely on the police department and the healthcare workers, right, and also the sanitary workers. Just I wanted to take you a step, a 2 to 3 years backward, and imagine the situation, right? Uh, if the Arogya Setu app, after the Arogya Setu app has come, how easy it has become to contact trace someone, right? Someone, if at all you could see in the video, it says we could easily track the respective person who got affected or who got infected with COVID-19. Okay. Yeah. So this is the app, right? So the reason I showed this application about this application is not simply just to, but there is a reason I have shown this video. If you could just see or remember the dates or the months, right, on which this uh, usually, right, COVID-19 has started. And let's say, I don't remember the exact date when was the lockdown, but I think somewhere in March there was a lockdown, and slowly they were getting affected. And this application, which is Arogya Setu app from Indian government, was live in the month of June. Okay. So what was the period? How much they have spent? So March, means mostly I think in the end of the March. There's so April, May, June. They have spent approximately 3 months in order to build the application. Okay. So usually, if suppose how the reason for that application to be live so fast was the respective engineers were not focused on the infrastructure. They were focusing on developing the applications. So it is a that large scale application which almost which almost millions of people in India has used it, and that was able to scale and also able to serve the traffic of the number of people that has logged in without any issue. And also, if you remember in the video, they were telling without compromising on the security by encrypting the respective data and not sharing to anyone. So these are some of the things, right, that were presented in the video. And the beauty that the application was live was because of the they have Indian government has adopted to launch the application on cloud. Okay. So that was the main reason, and that was the main reason why the application was live in no time. Just in 3 months, right? It was live. Okay. So that is the beauty of cloud. So that is something I wanted to get started. And Aragi Sethi app is on AWS. If at all you know, that is okay. If at all you don't know, right? Basically, Aragi Sethi app is on AWS. So why does such why does, right? If at all you think of any startups at the moment, either Swiggy or Zomato, whatnot. Any retail industry at the moment are leveraging AWS or any other cloud providers, right? Depending on the cost and their use cases, they are adopting the clouds. So why they should adopt cloud, right? So that's where I'm going to get started. So hope you are, I mean, maybe right. The reason I brought up this video was just to showcase the power of cloud. Okay. Yeah. So I'll ask a question. I mean, as most of you guys are already into IT field, right? So usually, can you let me know how much time how much time it takes in order to get a server built in the on-premises? So someone may be right. There is a Oracle DBA, there is Exchange Server admin, there is a DevOps engineer. So if suppose I wanted to get a Oracle DBA, Oracle database, right, running on Linux or Ubuntu created and the Oracle database being installed on that. So how much time it usually takes? Anyone can answer that question?
Yeah, it takes hardly 3 to 4 days minimum. Olden days it was almost 1 week like that.
Okay, so I mean, so 1 week is that because you're having the availability of the respective servers, right, on either on hypervisors or on racks, right? You're having that capacity there. If you don't have the capacity to spin up a server or launch a VM, then what will you do?
Then it will obviously take more than 15 to 1 month because purchasing the hardware and procuring hardware on top of it installing OS. Because in my old organization, they purchased a AX machine, Unix server, AX machine. It took almost 2 months to build a server.
Exactly. So that's what, right? In order to build a server for your application, you are going to spend approximately 1 month to 2 months of time in order to procure your server from, I mean, I'm talking about the complete cycle procurement. So before procurement, you need to get an approval from your respective finance team that this is the budget going to be for hosting so and so application. Once that finance team approves about the budget, then you'll place the order, procurement will be done, and then it will be shipped to your data center. And ultimately, you will just take that hardware and install in your racks and so on. So what I mean by rack is this: it's just a simple. Uh, it's just a simple. You can think of it as shelves, basically, where your servers are placed. So that's what it usually takes around 1 month to 2 months in order to build the respective hardware, configure it, and then install the OS and install the database. But who's going to be responsible for building all of this? Ultimately, it's the admin team and it's the OS team and it's the database team, right? And even the storage team because they need to provide the SAN for you guys. So there are four teams that are involved in order to build the respective servers. First, a procurement team to place the order. Then once it is reached to the data center, someone has to go and place it on the respective rack. Then get the OS installed on basically let on the hypervisor or VSX, I mean hypervisor on the respective hypervisor, right? So we need to get the OS installed, and after that, right, we need to create a VM, and then we will install the database server, and storage team will provide the respective storage, what is required for this. So there are a lot of activities that are involved in here, and also there are a lot of teams involved here. If at all you take even one person or one engineer from each team, that means you are going to collaborate with five people in order to just build a server. Okay. So ultimately, what is happening is your team, which is, I mean, basically, right, your respective team size is increased, and obviously, right, so their respective, I mean, cost, which is their, I mean, it might be their salaries or something, or you're investing on them, right? So first thing is your procuring the hardware, which means you are investing upfront. That means you are investing before itself, where you place the order, make the payment, and also you are investing 5 to 6 members of effort, and you are investing their time, and also investing on the respective resources from the business perspective, at all you take, right? So these are the number of things that are involved. So let's say you procured some 32 GB memory, 32 GB memory, 32 GB memory, and approximately some 16 CPU machine. Let's say that your user base has increased and the server is not able to handle the load. In that scenario, what will you do? Can someone answer the question? So basically, right, you have thought initially when you did a capacity planning, you thought 16 CPU and 32 GB memory would be sufficient. But after you have installed and got your respective servers configured, the user base has increased, and obviously the respective CPU and memory is not being enough, and you are facing the performance issues. In that scenario, what will you do?
Yeah, we'll increase the resources, CPU and memory, resize the instance.
Exactly. So that's where you will increase the CPU and memory allocated to a more, some when it is 32 GB, you might go to 64 GB, or when also you would increase the number of cores. Again, your user base has increased. Again, you need to rescale, right? You need to increase. Now, let's say you have got some 32 core and 128 GB memory. Okay. For some reason, what happened is the user base has reduced now. In that scenario, your servers are underutilized. Can you scale your servers down? Can someone answer the question?
No, in on-prem you cannot, even data center also, even though we are not utilizing also, we are on it.
Exactly, exactly. So you'll not be able to scale the server down, right? Only way is you need to build a new server with a lower configuration and do a small migration. Correct. Yeah. So that is where, right? These are some of the things which cloud, irrespective of the cloud, right? Any cloud provider will provide you the this all of these drawbacks or limitations are addressed with cloud. So first and foremost, right, you're not investing upfront, right? So you will be creating a EC2 or your database server. We will know in some time what is EC2 and RDS, right? So we will be creating a VM depending on what size you want, okay? And you will respectively create or the database server on EC2, or you can directly use managed service. What is managed service and PaaS we'll discuss. So in the no time, in just 3 to 4 minutes, you can just simply create an EC2 instance and you can get started. And the beauty is you're not paying for them upfront, and you will be paying for whatever you use. So if you are using the server for only 4 hours or 5 hours a day or more, you will be paying for only the time that you utilize or use the server. Okay, so is that right? If suppose a startup is wanted to actually concentrate on building the application and their business goal is to get live on in 2 months or 3 months, at the same time, not bleeding so much of money on infrastructure, right? So cloud offers those capacity. So you're not paying for your infrastructure when you're not using it, and also, right, you can start, you're not directly investing on your infrastructure, right? So what, and you're not investing on managing the respective infrastructure that you created, because that is on that is on cloud. So your development team will be focusing on developing the application and not managing not managing the respective resources. Okay, let's take the scenario, right, of before Swiggy, Ola, Uber, right? In order to develop an application, I mean, that's the time from approximately 2010 onwards, the eruption of startups has started in India, not only in India, everywhere over the world. And the way, or they were able to scale the respective infrastructure and get the respective of their application, and they were able to reach to the business because they were not focusing on building the data centers. Instead, they were focusing on building their application. Ultimately, right, they have also marketed that, and they were also able to handle huge number of users as well. Yeah. So when the number of users increases, your servers will scale up, and when the number of users decreases, your number of servers will scale down. So that is the concept called as elasticity, scalability, right? So that is where you're not overspending on your infrastructure, but at the same time, you're not compromising on your performance, right? So this is also answered in the cloud. Okay. So you need not directly depend on your admin teams or someone who wanted who ask you to raise a request to them, and they will be taking their sweet time depending on the SLA and creating the server set. That is nothing. No, that is not at all in the picture. So you, if at all you want to launch something, you can just go ahead and you can launch it at the same time following the organization principles, right? So where they might be having, you, in order to create a server, you need to create a service now ticket or something, right? You will be following that. So you're not going to coordinate with multiple teams. You're just simply going to create a respective ticket, and you are going to. So that is the actual beauty of cloud. So I'll take a pause here, and before I move on to the next slide, so I want to take a pause here, and I want to ask you some questions if you have any questions. Guys, does anyone of you have questions? Have questions, right? It's like either whatever I'm saying you're able to understand or you're not able to understand. So what
No,
which way can I take?
we are able to understand.
Super. Yeah, okay. So we'll discuss when in detail about what is operational overload and everything, right? In detail when we start the course. Okay. But okay, so what is cloud computing, right? So what is cloud computing mean? Cloud computing is nothing but it's just a utility or a UI provided by the respective cloud providers, where you can just simply go and create the resources you need and then destroy the resources when you don't need. So that is what is cloud computing. It's nothing but they are the data centers which are managed by the cloud providers. It might be AWS, GCP, or someone which are offering you to use their infrastructure in a shared responsibility model. So ultimately, when if at all you wanted to create any resource on AWS, right, it is nothing but it is going on landing in one of the data centers, depending on the which region and which availability zone you choose. So it's just a simple UI provided where you can just simply go and create your respective infrastructure. So that's what is cloud computing in simple terms. Okay. So the one of the major players with respect to cloud are AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud Platform. So Azure is the leading AWS cloud provider. So initially, AWS was founded in 2006. The actual cloud adoption was erupted in, I think, early 2008, 19, 2008, 9, after the initial recession which has happened. So from then onwards, right? Then after AWS, then Azure and Microsoft and even the Google has started to realize the power of cloud and started offering the cloud provider as a started offering as a cloud provider. Okay, so being the one of the first first cloud provider, right? They have their own advantage. They have covered almost across the globe. They're having approximately, I don't remember the exact number of regions now, but they're having across the globe regions. What are regions and availability zones? We'll discuss in detail from when we actually get into course. You can think of region as you can think of region as a basically, right, a region as a collection of data and collection of okay. First of all, right, what is an availability zone is nothing but it contains more than two or three data centers spread by approximately 30 to 40 kilometers in a seismic zone. So availability zone will consist of more than two or three data centers, but they are not within the same data center. They will be spread across 30 to 40 kilometers, but they also has the redundant power and also redundant storage and redundant internet connection. So collection of more than two or three availability zone is called as a region. So it's just simple terms, right? India has two regions, one in Mumbai and another one is Hyderabad. Okay, so like that across the complete continents, right? I mean, if at all you take America, they're having more than six regions. You take uh, Europe, they're having more than again right 3 to 4 regions like that. Even Middle East, then Asia Pacific, Australia. So everywhere we are having AWS regions and the respective availability zones, right? So you just simply go plug in. Just simply go just choose what server you need, what is the CPU memory you need, what storage you need, and just simply get started, right? So that and also you'll be paying based on usage. So there is something called as on-demand pricing, savings plans, and other reserved instances. We will discuss in detail what are those. Basically, you can think of them as getting some discount for usage. Okay, so if suppose I'm a startup and I have an idea and I want to develop that idea and get into market in 6 months. So usually in a on-premises environment, what happens is you will be focusing less on building your application where you will be developing, but majority of the time you will be focusing on configuring the respective infrastructure, building the infrastructure, and then managing the infrastructure. So your ultimate goal of actually getting live or making your product live on or launching your product live in order to get more user or get started will be a bit delayed with respect to on-premises. That is just opposite when you choose cloud. So you focus you focus more on building your applications and less on configuring cloud as well, because all of the operations and all of the respective heavy lifting of actually managing infrastructure and building the infrastructure is managed by AWS. So this is the main difference or main reason why you are able to hear this much about cloud computing and respectively AWS, right? That is because of this. And over the last few years, so many number of startups has evolved. That is because of this particular reason where they're focusing on building their application and not spending the time on managing infrastructure. Okay, so so far, right, I just talked about what is cloud computing, what are the drawbacks or limitations which we are having when we manage our own infrastructure. Then we saw about what is cloud computing, right? And just let's get into what is AWS. Okay, so basically, right, is Amazon started the AWS. I mean, basically, right, started to offer web services in the year 2006, and after that, right, so being one of the early market players, so that has got its own advantages. So being one of the early market capturer, right, it is cost effective. If you compare the cost of EC2 instances over Google Cloud or Azure, so these are a bit cheaper. And as I said, it has global reach. So you take anywhere in the globe, AWS is available either as a region or availability zone or a direct connect or even the CloudFront distribution. So what is CloudFront distribution, right? We'll discuss when we get into more detail, when we discuss about the infrastructure, AWS infrastructure. Then reliable. What does the reliable mean? So reliability means you can rely on that particular infrastructure without having to worry about them whether they will be going down or something, right? So the way we design the applications deployment on AWS or is we configure them in a highly available, and if their applications are business critical, we also configure in a multi-region disaster recovery as well. So that's how you actually have the reliability. So suppose even you might be having some applications where there are some of the few restrictions that the data cannot leave their continent or the country. So let's take, right, GDPR compliance or something. Even in that scenario, each country has at least two regions in them. Let's take India itself. So government data, right, usually will not, there is a restriction put that the government data cannot leave India. So that means if suppose there is only one data center or one region in AWS, right? You, in order to maintain DR, you need to choose another region that is not available in India. Ultimately, right, you're compromising on your compliance. So, but that is not the case with AWS. You're having two regions in India itself. So you can just simply have your primary site running on Mumbai, and you can have Hyderabad as a DR, or vice versa. You can have primary site running on Hyderabad and your respective DR as Mumbai. So, and also we configure the applications in a highly available manner where we choose multiple availability zones. See, these are something which I'm talking at a very high level, but we will be discussing in detail about each and everything. What is region? What is availability zone? What is high availability? What is disaster recovery? Right? We will be discussing very much detail when we get into the course. And also we are focusing on innovation. So just one slide back, right? So you're focusing on developing your application and not worrying about your respective managing infrastructure. So that is where, right, you're spending most of your time in order to innovate your application or to bring your innovation into reality. And last important thing is about security. Security, right? Most of the people actually doesn't give importance, but that is the crucial step, right? So if suppose you build your application and some ransom is a virus or something has been inserted, so you have to pay heavy ransom you need to offer to the respective intruder in order to get your back. Also, there will be a lot of attacks, right, happening or at a layer 7 or a layer 4, right? So how you are going to actually um, how you are actually going to protect your application. So that's where security comes into picture. These are the key attributes in order for an AWS cloud, right? And also these are the differentiators that other cloud providers has. Okay. So the way I have structured the course, right, is at a high level, we will get started to know about cloud computing and then about AWS. Basically, right, public clouds and private clouds and respectively, right? Then we will be talking about what is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, and then we will get into discussing about what are the various services that are available on AWS. So, there are a lot of services on AWS where you can use, but the majority of them, right, either fall in the infrastructure as a service, PaaS or SaaS, and in compute, depends on what type of offering they offer. Compute or database, storage, or some developer tools or anything, right? They will be following accordingly. If you see within compute, you're having more than 6 services. So just put the six, but you're having more than this. Either an EC2, Elastic Beanstalk, Lambda, ECR, EKS, ECS. These are the various different compute platforms that are available where you can make use of the where you can make use of the services and you get your application started. Similarly, you're having database services, right? RDS, your whatever database you're having, either it is a relation, if it is a relational database, you might choose RDS because, right? This is basically a platform as a service. What we will discuss about what is a platform as a service and what is the advantages for the infrastructure as a service. But you can just simply think of platform as a service is something which which AWS or any cloud provider is offering as a service where they are managing your respective operations. When I said operations, right? So patching of the respective servers or actually upgrading the respective servers or maintaining high availability of the servers, everything will be managed by AWS. DynamoDB is a serverless offering where you can actually create your NoSQL related stuff, right? Where you can simply get a NoSQL database. DocumentDB is again a MongoDB compatible database. where you can simply create a MongoDB clusters or key spaces, right? Again, Cassandra comes into picture, Neptune DB, Elastic Cache. These are other database platforms that are available. So with respect to storage, you also have S3, and S3 is nothing but a block level storage that is available, where you can just simply go and dump your data in the form of object-based storage. When I said object-based storage, they are images, videos, flat files. Okay. When it comes to EFS and FSX, these are the file shares. NFS file shares that you are having, right? These are the one. EFS is nothing but elastic file system where you can mount only to the Linux system. But when it comes to FSX, is again an assembly file share where you can mount it to the Windows servers. So Snowcone is just simply a utility is a hardware device that is available in order to migrate lots of data. So those are the various services, but I just told at a high level. We'll discuss in detail about each service. So I'll just bring up about what is an EC2 instance in today's class. EC2 instance is nothing but a virtual machine. You can just simply think of it as a virtual machine which has some CPU, memory, and storage allocated to it, right? And you can just simply create that VM and start using that VM. So, but when you are actually creating the VM, what VPC you need to select, what VPC you need to select, what subnet you need to select, either you want a public IP or a private IP, right? So all of those things we will be discussing in detail. Even what is the pricing options, what are instance, right? What is EBS storage, and what are the various EBS storage that are available, and what is the discount that you can get. We will be discussing all of that in detail in the when we actually start the course. Okay, so but I will be, even though I put some effort in order to get started with the creation of the respective course or complete the course, the main thing that we need from you guys is practice the respective concept. Okay. See, theoretically, all of this will be, I mean, because you guys are already from infrastructure background, either you have some experience already, it will be very much at a, when we discuss, right, theoretically, it will look that, okay, is it only this much? But it's not that. You can become an expert only when you practice this. Okay. I'll just give you some simple example, right? Suppose a Linux command, if you wanted to execute, I can just simply go say, if at all I ask you to list the files, how many are the files, you will just simply say like ls command or something, right? That you are able to say, that is because you have given those command and you know what is the output you are going to expect from that the respective command will output. You, as you know, and you practiced it multiple times, you remember that. Similarly, even in this respective course, right, the more and more you practice, the more and you the more expertise you'll be gaining. Okay. But in order to practice, right, you need to create a free tier account. So that is one of the requirement, right, where you guys create a free tier account. How to create the free tier account, I'll be showcasing. In order to create a free tier account, you just simply need an email ID and one credit card, right? Where you just simply, when I said credit card, you will not be charged anything, but only just for the purpose of creating the account, you need a credit card. And after that, right, this will be treated as a free tier account. So what does free tier account is nothing but AWS will offer that for 1 year free few of the services where you can simply go and get started. So that's where, right, we will be leveraging those free tier account and we will be practicing most of this. Okay. So let's say I'll be starting, if at all I'm going to talk about VPC. Okay. And I'll be showing you a demo in order to create the VPC and the respective components, right? VPC, subnets, route tables, the internet gateways, NAT gateways. So if you practice them, you will be remembering that. If you don't practice them, you'll just simple thing, okay, virtual VPC is nothing but a virtual private cloud. But in how to create, you'll face some issues. So I would focus or I would stress on you guys to practice. See, you just need to spend half an hour of your time, right? And once you practice it, you'll be knowing that. So I focus on you guys to respectively focus on the practicing the respective concept. Okay. In the interest of time, right? What I'm going to talk, so as this is a demo, so this is how I have structured the respective complete course. So mine, today I have talked most of the time, but usually this is not my style. So usually, right, whenever I'm covering the concept, I will be creating a demo, and then, right, what I'll be showing you the respective demo. Okay. So, so there are a lot of things involved in this in the learning. So we'll be focusing on starting from networking, then blob storages, S3, then knowing about EC instances, RDS instances, and and about each and every service, right, which are very much crucial for you to get started and where you will be using them on a daily basis. And also I have few sample applications that I have created, so I'll be showcasing that also when in the midway, how to launch those or how to actually configure those applications as well. So with that, right, because we are almost at the end of the session, with that I will take a pause, and what I wanted to hear from you guys is how, how you wanted to leverage this course. So basically, if at all, let's say this is my style of going, if at all you think that, so this is not, this is, you want some change, you're not able to follow properly, you can let me know as well. Okay. All right. So Apurva, I'll just take, so do you have anything to talk? Ram, sorry, I think you were talking. Sorry, Ram.
No, the way of approach you are going to, yeah, that's look good, Manikanta. So, uh, just want to understand, what the AWS architect will do or administrator will do. I don't because I'm a DevOps engineer. I don't know much difference both. Yes,
Ram, you wanted to know what does AWS administrator do?
mm,
Yeah, yeah. So basically, right, there is a thin layer of difference between developer and administrator.
mm,
So administrator, right, is you can think, say again, there are two different things here. So administrator doing in managed services and administrator doing the professional services. Okay.
okay.
So, um, so in the professional services, what does this admin do is there will be an architecture defined by the respective architect where he will be going and deploying the respective architecture. Okay. Let's say, right, there is an auto scaling group, which there is a web layer of that application which has an auto scaling group. So you will be going and creating the auto scaling group. Either it may be manually or it might be by using an automation. It might be by using Terraform or by CloudFormation, where you're responsible for creating the infrastructure. Okay. And after that, once your respective infrastructure is deployed, application is live on AWS, right? That is where your operations work start. So so usually they define this operations work, right, where there will be dedicated team in order to respectively operate, and there will be a separate professional services team which actually go and create responsible for creation of the infrastructure. Or both the teams will be only one team who does that. So when it comes to operations, something like encrypting the respective EBS volumes or something, there is a request for you. Okay. So you wanted to, there is some, you created a respective infrastructure in public cloud, public subnet. You wanted to deploy that in a private subnet. Okay, there is a ticket where they have asked about to create an IAM user, where you'll be going and creating an IAM user. Okay, so they might be saying that GP2 volumes are not sufficient, where I'm not getting the respect to IOPS. I wanted to change that GP2 volume to a GP3 volume, or I wanted to change the instance type from M5X large to M52X large, or change the instance family from M family to R family. So these are some of the operational activities right, that respective admin will be taking care.
Yeah, got it, Manikanta. So, kind of a ticketing like operations there, what they are doing. So we are doing kind of means we are not provisioning infrastructure, right? As admin, just we are maintaining and resizing instances if they need like that.
Yeah, yes, yes. Admin tasks are those, but so that
Okay.
depends on the team which you are in as
Okay, okay. Yeah, I understand. In my company also, we have a cloud operations team is there separately. We are doing the L3 activities. Yeah, understand that. Good.
well. All right. So anyone has any questions?
One thing, Durga, like uh, in on-prem, we cannot scale down the applications, right? But in cloud, we are doing it in a few seconds. So how, like, what technology exactly they are using to do it?
There is a concept called as auto scaling groups, Purva. So where we will be launching the template and there is something called as the thresholds. I mean, basically, right? We will be defining the thresholds. So saying that you scale the instances by adding one instance when the CPU utilization of the respective auto scaling group is more than 80% consistently for 3 4 minutes or the past 5 minutes. This is a threshold we define. Okay. Or scale down when the utilization of the respective auto scaling group is less than 60% for consistently for 5 seconds, 5 minutes. Then and scaling down will happen. So this is all automatically managed by the concept called as auto scaling groups. Did I answer your question, Apurva?
Yeah, kind of like my question was like what exactly, since see we cannot implement the same thing in our environment, right? But how they are doing it, like they have some like other things also in on top of that.
Yeah. So usually what happens in on-premises, right? See, you have a hypervisor and you create a server from that. Okay. So if at all you wanted to create another server out of that, right, you need to take an image and create it. But you cannot downscale that. But there is a concept called as Amazon Machine Image, which is called an AMI or an image, where you only create the image, but you're not specifying that this CPU is allocated or memory is allocated. Okay. By using that CPU, we can actually define how much CPU and how much memory needs to be allocated. Okay, based on that, right, the auto scaling group is designed. So you can think of just to differentiate. So your computer depend on your hypervisors, right, in on-premise, but here we are not completely dependent on them. Just you can think of them as a virtual. I mean, even on-prem you're having virtual servers, but you're depending or you're having completely binding with respect to the hypervisor. But here that is not the case. But again, databases cannot auto scale. That is called as vertical. There is something called as vertical scaling and horizontal scaling.
Okay, and another thing is like for a free tier account, we must need a credit card, or with debit card also we can do it.
No, no, credit card is needed for sure. I don't think debit card will work out, but you can give it a try.
Since I'm not using credit card as of now, so that's why I asked that.
Yeah, yeah, I get. So you can give it a try, which I think, right? I mean, they accept only credit cards. All right, guys. I mean, so if you have any feedback, also you can share with me. So you can share it with the respective our team, and they will be able to share with me. And I'm very much excited to get started with the complete set of folks around here. And let's see, right, how it goes from Monday.